These 8 advanced English words will lift your fluency and your IELTS, TOEFL, or Cambridge score, and you won't just memorize them. You'll meet each one inside the story, feel what it means, then prove you caught it. That's how your brain keeps them for good. Lady Ashcroft would have paid any sum to hear her dead husband's voice just once more. That, the famous medium understood perfectly, and it was exactly why she had come. Edmund Ashcroft had fallen from the tower stairs of the family estate a year before, and his widow had never stopped mourning him. She wore black still. She set his chair at the table still. So when the celebrated Madame Sorel offered to summon his spirit, Lady Ashcroft did not hesitate for a single moment. The séance was held in the lavish drawing room, beneath a chandelier that had cost more than most men earned in a lifetime. Madame Sorel let her gaze travel over the velvet, the silver, the oil paintings, and her dark eyes gleamed with something that was not grief. Only one person at the table was wary. Eleanor, the widow's young niece, did not believe in spirits. She believed in greed. She had watched 3 other mediums drift through the grieving house that year, and each had left a little richer than they arrived. Eleanor was certain this was a swindle, an elaborate performance designed to swindle a heartbroken woman out of her fortune, one candlelit evening at a time. The lamps were lowered, and Madame Sorel began to summon the dead. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Edmund," she breathed. "Edmund, are you near?" A cold draft moved through the room. The heavy table trembled. Somewhere in the dark, a small bell rang on its own. It was a fine show, but Eleanor was watching the medium's feet, not her face, and she saw the thread. A near-invisible black wire ran from Madame Sorel's shoe to the little bell, to the table leg, and up into her sleeve. The whole haunting was clandestine machinery, hidden in the dark. She had seen quite enough. Here was the scheme laid bare: a grieving widow, a darkened room, and a web of secret wires. Eleanor reached for the gas lamp, ready to flood the room with light and end the deceit. But before she could, Madame Sorel spoke again. And this time her voice changed. It went flat and cold and strangely certain. "He did not fall," she said. "Edmund did not fall. He was pushed by the man who keeps the books." Eleanor froze, her hand on the lamp. That line was not part of the scheme. It could not be. No one had told the medium how Edmund had died, and no clever fraud would ever risk so strange and specific an accusation. And the man who keeps the books? That was Mr. Grisham, the family solicitor sitting white-faced at the end of the table. Eleanor turned the lamp up at last. The wires, the bell, the whole hidden apparatus lay exposed, and Madame Sorel's grand deceit collapsed in an instant. She was a fraud. That much was now beyond any doubt. And yet, in the sudden brightness, every eye in the room had turned, not to the unmasked medium, but to Mr. Grisham, who had risen from his chair, trembling. Eleanor, wary of a swindler a moment before, was suddenly far more afraid of the quiet man who kept the books. It took only a week to prove the rest. Mr. Grisham had been quietly swindling the Ashcroft estate for years, forging the figures in the very books he was trusted to keep. Edmund had discovered the theft, and one evening, at the top of the tower stairs, the man who kept the books had made certain that his secret would never come to light. Madame Sorel was, beyond question, a liar and a cheat. Her spirits were wire and theater. Her whole career a clandestine trade in other people's grief. But in her one desperate, lavish performance, she had stumbled, by pure accident, onto a truth far darker than any ghost. Lady Ashcroft put away her black at last. She had spent a year mourning a man who fell. Now she would mourn a man who was murdered. And, strangely, the truth was easier to carry than the comfortable lie had been. The most outrageous fraud she had ever welcomed into her home had given her the one thing no honest visitor ever had: the truth about how her Edmund really died. Now, did you catch all 8? Let's find out. An adjective for being very rich, grand, and extravagant. Think of a banquet with far more food and gold than anyone needs. It described the Ashcroft drawing room, dripping with silver and velvet. The séance was held in a what kind of room beneath a glittering chandelier?
The word is lavish.
They threw a lavish party with hundreds of expensive guests. A verb meaning to feel and show deep grief for someone who has died. It's wearing black and weeping for a person you have lost. Lady Ashcroft did this for her husband Edmund for a whole year. She could not stop doing what for the husband she had loved so dearly?
The word is mourn.
The whole village came together to mourn the old teacher. A verb meaning to call someone or something to appear. A king does it to call a servant. A séance does it to call the dead. Madame Sorel claimed she could do this to Edmund's spirit. She lit the candles and prepared to do what to the dead man's ghost? The word is ʻsʌmən. The headmaster will summon the students to the main hall. An adjective for being cautious and full of distrust. It's the careful, watchful feeling that warns you not to trust. Eleanor felt this way about the famous medium from the very start. The sharp-eyed niece stayed. What of the smiling stranger?
The word is wary.
Years of broken promises had made her wary of everyone. A noun for dishonest behavior meant to trick or mislead people. It's the lies and tricks a con artist hides behind a kind smile. The whole candlelit séance was built upon it. Eleanor reached for the lamp to expose the medium's what?
The word is deceit.
Their marriage was slowly poisoned by years of quiet deceit. A verb meaning to cheat someone out of their money. A con man does it, taking your savings with a false promise. The medium's whole plan was to do this to a grieving widow. She had come to do what? To a heartbroken woman out of her fortune.
The word is swindle.
The dishonest broker tried to swindle his elderly clients. An adjective for being kept secret, especially because it is wrong. Think of a secret meeting held at midnight behind locked doors. The hidden wires and the ringing bell were part of this machinery. The whole haunting was a what kind of trick, hidden away in the dark. The word is clandestine. They held clandestine meetings far from any prying eyes. A noun for a secret and usually dishonest plan? It's a sly, calculated plot to get what you want by trickery. The séance was the medium's careful one to take the fortune. Eleanor saw the whole what laid bare in the lamplight.
The word is scheme.
The pair invented a clever scheme to avoid paying any tax. Quick recap. How many do you still remember?
Lavish. Mourn.
ʻsʌmən.
Wary. Deceit. Swindle.
Clandestine.
Scheme.
A new English story every day. Subscribe and learn advanced words the way your brain actually keeps them. Inside a story you won't forget.